All right, another email. Bonjour, Jim and Monsieur Brian Last. What, now, why are you laughing already?
I have no good reason. I think it was just the French.
Well, this is because this man's French.
Monsieur Brian. How come you're not Monsieur Jim?
Well, because I'm Bonjour Jim. Bonjour Jim comes before Monsieur Brian Last.
Isn't bonjour hello?
Well,
hello, Jim, and what's Monsieur? Is it master, or is it monster? Is it mister? What is it?
I think you're his masseuse.
Oh, hello.
But you rubbed him the wrong way, so he had to fire you. Anyway, nevertheless,
hey,
this gentleman, whose name is Marty, so he sounds about as French as I do. But maybe that's a fucking Americanization of his name. But anyway, he does say, I am a fan from France and listened to the podcast for a couple of years now. I write you today for your next review of SmackDown and Backlash France and give you un petit resume of what the fuck the crowd in Lyon was saying. Because remember they were singing and they were chanting. We're going to get to it later on in the program when we talk about the shows. But this is your Rosetta Stone here. This is the key to the translation of. So now you'll be able to understand, right, Brian? Are you going to follow along with this?
Well, you'll be able to understand too. This will be your Rosetta Stone as well, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm going to teachify to you and to all the listeners out there.
Teachify, okay.
Teachify. Marty, our Frenchman in residence, goes on to say after every count, like the referees count, they were saying undo, simplement do, which means 1, 2, only 2, or simply 2. It's a catchphrase used by Monsieur Philippe Chirot and Monsieur Christopher Aegis, the two French commentators. Do you remember they were at the French announce table? They didn't have the Spanish announce table. They had the French announce table, and those were the Monsieur Philippe and Monsieur Christopher.
Well, that's interesting. So that crowd was actually chanting what the commentators say on their local feed of whatever they see.
Yeah, because he goes on to say, Marty here, they commentate everything WWE here in France for the past 25 years. This chant was a big tribute for them from the French fans because they barely get acknowledged by the office in the WWE for their work. And if we, the French fans, are this passionate, it's because of them. So apparently they're music teachers also. But he says they do an amazing job to keep the fans interested even when it's boring. And then there was a big chant for AJ. And Corey, but you're super hearing. You probably just pick it right out of the air. I can't tell what they're saying when it's in English. But apparently said the second big chant for AJ was, Il est vraiment phenomenal, la 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 la.
That sounds exactly like what it was, yeah.
Well, that means he truly is phenomenal, la 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 la. Apparently, la 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 is the same in both. Maybe it's an international or just a global language, the language of la 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 la. But you can't really translate la 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 from French to English. It sounds the same. But did I pronounce all that right?
I mean, right enough.
Well, the backstory of this, apparently, according to Marty, is that it's an old song, a one-hit wonder in France back in summer of 1997. That's an old song to Marty. My socks are from 1997 I'm wearing right now. Anyway, other chants, when a heel was taking over, they would say, say it tight, C apostrophe. How do you do C apostrophe E with a drava over it? I don't know. Say it tight?
Say.
Say, you say? Is it just your say-so?
Say.
Say what you want. Don't play games with my emotion. Seatat Michant, which means it was mean, or the variation sayest pas gentle, that was not nice or that was nasty. So can you imagine people in English chanting, that was not nice? And the French are so much more musical because ours is just barked out like fucking marching orders, like we're a goddamn bunch of Gestapos. But they're just singing their way to work.
See, what scares me is wrestling fans sometimes copy other wrestling fans. I kind of like when it's something unique to a specific area. You know, when you go to France, the fans will be singing and dancing at the stands. And, you know, when you go to England, they can all be chanting and, you know, have a beer in the other hand. And, you know, if you go to America, they're going to, you know, sit there and intently watch.
Yes, and take pictures and send notes with their phones. And fuck you, JD apparently does not need a translation. And then also when the table was broken, they chanted Aegeus and Chirot for the French announcers. And also for the Street Profits on SmackDown, they chanted Allez les Blues, which apparently means let's go the blue ones.
Les Blues. That was Misty Blues stable's name in France.
The Les Blues, yes.
Les Blues.
They had a big tour of all of the finer fucking video stores. But apparently that's a football reference. Let's go the blue ones. It's not racial against the blue people. That's a football reference because the French team plays in blue. So they say, Allez les Blues. Let's go the blues, the blue ones. You know, there were certain people in the mountains of eastern Kentucky and East Tennessee at one time that their skin turned blue because of inbreeding over the generations.
One time in the locker room, I blew myself.
Thank you, Lanny, but we're not talking now about your skin tone.
I, the genius of glory and renown, blow myself.
But quit it. But anyway, those are the translations of some of these things that we'll on the shows we'll talk about later on. Good heavens. Did you ever take any French or give any French?
No, but my Spanish teacher for the 2 years before I dropped it in high school was a Frenchman.
Well, that doesn't seem like that would be allowed, does it? Aren't they violating some kind of fucking gimmick infringement rules there?
I really didn't like him. He was a bad teacher, and like he was hard to get along with. And then like once I left his class, I really saw him as like the sympathetic, sad character, and I really started to feel bad for him.
Well, you're ashamed the way you treated him, huh?
I didn't treat him bad. I laughed at the way other people did. I laughed.
Well,
I got kicked out for laughing a few times.
There you go. See, that's even worse. Laughing at the other man's misfortune. I'll tell you, I always gave my teachers respect, and I'll have you know that every single one of my teachers all through school, they said it was amazing. I was the only student they'd ever had. They could not teach me anything.
Did you take French?
Oh, I've taken a little French anytime it was offered.
As part of a scholastic curriculum?
Well, now it was in school, too. It just depends on now. It wasn't official. There was no paperwork on this.
It wasn't official.
Maybe we better change the subject entirely. Have you been over to JimCornette.com lately, Brian, to see the plethora and the amazing array of fine collectibles and merchandise that we have for sale?
I always tell Suzanne, I'm like, you should go there and check it out. It's just such a plethora.
It's the plethora. It's all over the floor. And I mean, there's action figures, not only of my own lovely and personal self, but also the Midnight Express, the 4-pack, the individual Lane and Eaton and Lane and Condries, the heavenly bodies of Lane and Dr. Tom Pritchard, as well as the Cornette face t-shirts, which are iconic. You love that word, iconic. Well, they can be coming to you in an iconic fashion. The United States Postal Service, if you purchase one right now, the cheapest, I won't say cheap. That implies a level of fucking shoddy workmanship. Inexpensive, affordable, quality merchandise, the DVDs, the books, the magazines. They have fingerprints, so much more. Go now to JimCornette.com and send some money, and you will be rewarded soon with things to hold and squeeze and call George. However, I'm also going to have some big news next week on something that I've recently found out that is winging its way to me, that's going to be offered to the fine folks this summer for amazingly low prices. More news on that next week.
Yeah, the bird flu.
Oh, come on now. I'll have you know that my deal with Bertie Sanders is I've let him have that nest if he doesn't bother. And he has not pooped on my desk or any of my shelves one time. He's a very neat bird. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I've had a bird move into a nest that it built on top of my garage door opener in the garage. And I'm thinking, because now I go out there and talk to it several times a day, and we look each other in the eye. I'm 2 feet from it, face to beak. And he does, it doesn't bother him at all. He knows he's cool here. And we have a casual conversation. And he's in there first thing in the morning. And then I tell him good night. Good night, Bertie. Good night, Jim. He talks back to me. And I'm hoping that there's some eggs in the nest, and we'll get the chirp, chirp, chirping, and I'll be able to up close it. He doesn't seem to be picking at his seed. I guess he's going out to get the worms. We've had all the rain. Would you think if you were a bird, you'd prefer dry seed or wet worms?
I think wet worms would be kind of a delicacy, right?
Well, and especially if he or she indeed is eating for 2 or 3 or 4 or however many there's going to be, then maybe that's why they are going out for the birds, or for the worms, for the birds.
Do they have, I don't know too much about birds, and I know you're a bird lawyer, so I'm asking you, do they really enjoy what they eat? Do they enjoy taste? They just like throw shit in their mouth and gulp it down. Do they have taste buds? Do they enjoy what they're ingesting?
Well, now, first of all, I just defend them. I don't, pass judgment on their eating habits. So just because I'm a small town bird lawyer doesn't mean that I'm a bird nutritionist. However, I would assume that it's kind of a genetic thing that you would enjoy the thing that you need to consume in order to remain alive, whatever that food is. So they may not like cheeseburgers and Reese's peanut butter cups like normal humans do. But at the same point, we wouldn't want to eat a worm, but it works for them because they probably don't have the facilities, especially with all the modern building codes related to these nests, to put a full kitchen in where they can be frying burgers. Or, and then where would you toast the buns at a bird's nest?
Over a fire.
Well, then why are you... you realize how much trouble that would cause if you set a fire in a bird's nest in order to toast the buns to go on their burgers that they don't eat because that's why they eat worms? Because they don't have a kitchen in their fucking nest? See, why would you want me to feed my bird a cheeseburger? Why would you even bring that up and suggest that?
I remind you, we're talking about JimCornette.com.
Well, we were, but I was done till you fucking insinuated that I would be sending people out bird feces somehow.
I did not insinuate that in any way.
And besides that, I just signed the stuff here. The feather bottoms are the ones that's shipping it out. And there's no birds at the feather bottoms. Amazingly enough.
Always passing blame.
I'm always passing gas. Speaking of, see, folks, it's this kind of shit you're going to get when they work us too hard.